Welcome to the Blueprint in Practice, the video series where I show exactly how I implement the blueprint in real life. And the blueprint is probably the simplest approach to getting jacked strong and fit on the internet. It's how I build my physique, a good amount of strength, and elite level cardiovascular fitness, training under 1 hour a week with only 3 exercises and having cooked down the nutritional side to 3 simple rules to follow as well. The blueprint is in the description and it's free to read through if you're interested. Alright guys, so the Blueprint in Practice, episode 13. Yeah, so I'm training again with weight, as you see, after my injury. And that's great. And I don't feel anything now. So I think it was just like a slight thing that came. But it really hurt when it happened, for a couple of days. And I'm not exactly, it's obviously an amateur diagnosis, the fact, I'm no physical therapist, but the fact that I think it's because I trained to failure, like I was training too intensely for too long, in other words. So the training sessions I've been having the last week have been sort of mild, let's put it like that. So I haven't really pushed myself that hard because I sort of want to, you just want to start out slowly after an injury, I guess. Like you just want to go back into training conservatively so you don't flare up, in this case, so my elbow don't flare up again. That would just be annoying, you see. And then I can't train at all. So I'm doing 5 reps on my first set of the chin-ups, which is less than before. But I've calculated that if I hit 7 reps at the end of this month, I'm good. So in other words, I'll be progressing as normally, as if I hadn't added weight back then a couple of weeks ago, and as if I hadn't gotten injured for a week and taken a week off training. You see, so that's sort of what I'm aiming for. So I have to add 2 reps more by the end of this month, while still keeping like those 1 or 2 reps in reserve. You see, or staying 1 or 2 reps shy of failure. Means the same thing. So the question is if that's even possible. I hope it is. But even if I don't come, if I get 6 reps, let's say, that's fine, okay? I'll be happy with that. As long as I don't flare up my elbow, I'm good. Obviously you don't want to stay stuck at the same weight or the same reps for too long. That's a plateau, right? But as I've gotten injured, it's sort of it's a bump in the road, and it sort of messes up everything. So you have to take that into consideration. The fact that you get injured, you take a week off, and then, you start out slowly as well. So it's not optimal in any way, shape, or form. And that's the point. And I think that's about it. The big changes that's been happening is that I'm obviously working on a major update for the blueprint. And amongst those are the fact that I will now, from now on, as you also see in the background, or as you are going to see in the background, be doing 4 circuits a training session instead of 3. And that amounts to the same amount of volume weekly, which is what really matters. You just train every other day instead of 2 days on, 1 day off. It's just a simpler training scheme, in my opinion. So, you train 3 to 4 times a week instead of 4 to 5 times a week. You just do 1 circuit more a training session, and it's gonna amount to the same. It's just a sake of preference. Like what I've been thinking was that you get more rest in between each training session, which I suppose is a little better than otherwise. So you get 48 hours of rest in between every single session instead of 24 in between every other session. You see. And that's just slightly superior, I think. Doing, the 4th set, doing 1 circuit more each training session is slightly worse because it is just going to amount. So like the earlier in the session you do a circuit, the fresher you're going to stay, obviously. So it's just going to be higher quality. So the 4th circuit is just going to be worse quality than the 3rd or the 2nd or the 1st set. So that's a slight negative of doing 4 circuits. And the more circuits you add them, so if it were to do 5 circuits, it would obviously be, I would be even more fatigued at that point. But it's slight minor adjustments that perhaps, improves it a little bit. Or maybe it's just to switch up things a little bit. So now I'm training 4 circuits instead of 3 circuits. It doesn't really matter that much, guys. Do whatever works for you. You can also do 5 circuits, 3 times a week, as long as you're hitting that 10 to 20 sets per muscle group a week, which means 10 to 20 circuits a week, because you train all your muscle groups during one circuit, you see. So chin-ups, push-ups, squats. And that's the major update. And there's going to be some other stuff as well, but I'm going to make a separate video where I update you guys on what exactly has changed. There's also going to be new videos in the new update to the blueprint. But yeah, I think that's sort of what's been happening for the training. Nutrition has just been somewhat the same, so I've been eating the same foods. Pasta, obviously, instead of rice as normally. And I've been boiling my eggs instead of scrambling them. But apart from that, it's just the same bullshit. It's just me eating the same foods more or less over and over again. And occasionally I eat different stuff, and then I just sort of equate it. So, again, all meals contain the same source of foods. So you have carbs, proteins, fats, and then vitamins and minerals. And typically protein is meat, cheese, stuff like that, beans. Carbs is typically comes in the form of bread, rice, pasta, you name it. And fats, you typically cook. Cheese and stuff contains fat, and you typically cook your food in fat, so olive oil, butter, whatever. And then for vitamins and minerals, you either eat greens or fruit typically. So like all foods contain the same ingredients, the same sort of foods, which all consist of macros and micros. And that's sort of the picture. So over time, this obviously takes a bit of time to get used to where you can just eyeball things, not 100% accurately, but accurately enough. It takes some time, but honestly not that long. I'd argue for a couple of months. Like if you just read the back label of food items and sort of look up, like what does a fruit contain? How many calories? Is it how many protein, etc., etc.? Then you'll get a hang of it pretty quickly, because you probably mostly eat the same foods anyway. So you have the same 10 or 20 sorts of foods you eat. All right, what does these contain? And what are some high calorie foods you can look up? What are some low calorie foods, etc.? That's sort of how I've gotten the hang of it over the months and years anyway. And I think that's it for this video. So not anything super interesting, but I'm happy that I'm training again. Getting injured sucks. Like you really want to avoid that. So I'm religiously staying 1 or 2 reps shy of failure moving forward, because I think that's what caused my injury. So thank you for watching and have a good day.